which leads us very well to our next topic, which is the song Crystal Ball. Wouldn't it be great if you had a crystal ball?
So I was living in this isn't unique to me, and it's probably not unique to New York in the 60s. It's likely always, or most often, been this way. But as a young artist, we lived from pillar to post. My sweetheart from the islands was not always there. She was there during the time that we've spoken about, and then later. But she found her own way to go to university, and wound up with 2 master's degrees, rather than suffering alongside a drizzle brain committed to changing the world through popular music. So we lived pillar to post, and pillar and post were often young chicks, young women. Pilar and Madame Post. And we lived in cheap hotels. And we tried to hustle songs, like I said, $50 advance. And Mort was my manager at that time. And Mort's in Europe. And I'm in a little cheap hotel down on the west side in New York. And of course, I'm watching the Late Show on TV. In those days, there was one after-hours show, and it was called The Late Show, with basically old movies. And there was a theme song that played, da 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 da, and on the radio comes the Kinks with, I think, a song called Sunny Afternoon.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I like the way he wrote that. Ray, who I met later on with Mort. That's interesting. So I set out, inspired by Sunny Afternoon, I think that's its song, to write something in a similar vein. And between referencing that and the Late Show, this is 3 in the morning or something, I started to write Crystal Ball. It happens that at one point, Kukulis and I went into a gypsy parlor on 8th Avenue in New York to complain about the circumstances of our lives and look for some deep wisdom from the mystic plane of the gypsy fortune teller. And after examining us both really carefully, but with a jaundiced eye, her suggestion to us was that you guys need to get a goddamn job. So we left the gypsy disappointed. But I held hope in my heart that the gypsy girl with a crystal ball could eventually come up with something more satisfying. So she's in Crystal Ball, along with Sunny Afternoon and the theme from the Late Show.
Wow.
It was just such a goofy theme there.
So it's the light
And
heart.
then Martin and I worked on it some more and and sharpened it up a little bit.
Hmm.
And then when I was on England in tour, my friend took me in North London to show me the bar that the Kinks got started in. Yeah, I like the Kinks. I like the Kinks, but and I like an awful lot of work that came out of the UK and Europe in those days. It was great. It's great.